The protests near the High Commission and Indian consulates in Canada are believed to have been joined by Khalistani and Pakistani elements. The Indian mission in Canada has asked for additional security. Protesters took to the streets in Canada following the Farm Bill protest which are happening in India. Such events, rallies and marches are expected to intensify in Canada over the next week to protest the recent agriculture bills of India. The protests near the Indian High Commission in Ottawa have raised fears about the security of this campus. The issue was also raised during the summoning of the Canadian envoy to India, Nadir Patel, this week. Ministry of External Affairs had summoned Patel after Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau commented on the farmers' protests which are happening in India. Trudeau expressed his concerns. Following this, a release by the Indian Ministry of External Affairs said comments have encouraged gatherings of extremist activities in front of the Indian High Commission and consulates in Canada that raise issues of safety and security. The Ministry of External Affairs had called the Canadian government to quote-unquote ensure the fullest security of Indian diplomatic personnel, unquote. The statement also asked Canadian leadership to refrain from pronouncements that legitimize extremist activism. In the United Kingdom, demonstrations are being planned in London for the 10th of December by Khalistani secessionist group Sikhs for Justice, which was banned by India just last year. Indian High Commission in London has raised a similar issue with Metropolitan Police. Issues warning advisory. UK's Met Police has written an open letter to persons organising and participating in the gatherings. UK government is still to take a final call on if the rally can go ahead or not as per local regulations. For more on this, we are being joined by Lord Meghnad Desai from London. Lord Desai is an author, economist and Professor Emeritus at the London School of Economics. Lord Desai, 36 British legislators have written to UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab. They want the UK to intervene in the ongoing farmers' protests in India. Is there any political support for such a motion in UK?
It's a non-issue. You see, I mean, MPs can write letters about anything every day. I'm sure that they're writing about Nagorno-Karabakh and this and that, all sorts of things. Now, you have to also be aware that many MPs who are in Parliament have Deshi and Mirpuri constituents who are very sensitive, who want to go on doing so, pointing out. So India just has to say, listen, we are a democracy, we are settling our own problems our own way, get lost.
So how is the British government likely to respond to this request by the MPs? Will there be any reaction at all from the British Foreign Office?
I think the government should utterly ignore this. And the UK Foreign Secretary is not going to do anything about this because he has more than enough to worry about. So I think just everybody just calm down and treat. I think in future also things like this. Oh, an MP has moved a motion. Ignore that. These are not taken seriously.
So protests are happening in front of the Indian consulate and more protests are expected by supporters or people who support the farmer protests which are happening in India. But they seem to have been hijacked by certain secessionist or just a handful of secessionist elements in UK and Canada. Meanwhile, a few UK leaders have also written to the Foreign Office on the farmer protests happening in India. Lord Desai, why exactly are these MPs intent on interfering in India's domestic matters? Britain seems to have enough issues at hand with the Brexit talks and the COVID-19 outbreak.
In my British political life, I don't take these sorts of things very seriously. I mean, there are bigger tragedies in which British MPs should write about things and so on. I mean, like the Nagorno-Karabakh I mentioned, it's quite right. Not that Britain can do anything about anything, but just register. Britain has no locus standi in a dispute happening in India. Just as we don't interfere in British disputes, Britain shouldn't interfere in our disputes. Simple.
Lord Desai, thank you so much for joining us on WION and giving us your time.